Hello. What's up? Um, so today we are gonna. You know what? This is what's going on. Dang, I got you guys like right in the sun. My bad. I gotta see if I can switch this. See how bad that is. That's better, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So there's a billion different YouTube channels to find out the new gear and new techniques and all this stuff. So I'm gonna go the other direction. What's up, Jerry? Um, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna simplify it. If you were a tree climber and you needed to rig and you didn't really have any equipment, what would you do? So I'm sure most people would always at least have a rope. So we're basically gonna focus on being able to rig using a rope and limited things, um, and how to make that work for you. Probably touch on a few weird little techniques and stuff, but I'm gonna brief everybody on the basics of old school rigging and the special techniques to it. I think it would surprise some people some of the things that you can do. Just a second, let me grab the last thing I need, and then we'll get straight into it. And I'll see who all's here too. Sorry. So you can see I have my silly display tree here. This is what we'll use to do like a demo, um, on how the techniques work, and show you my favorites, and and be a little specific with it instead of just you can throw a rope through a natural crouching rig. That's not always the case. It's not always that simple, and I'm gonna show you. And I guess we'll probably even cut this up and do a few of them to show you it actually working. Even though I don't really want to cut that thing up to kind of use it, but I'll find a different one. So we use the little pistol, and we'll do some rigging. But I've really been digging this thing lately. It's helped me out on a few smaller ones that I've been doing. So I'll be right back, and we'll get right into it, and we'll just keep going. First, I'll come back. I want to see who's here, and then we're just gonna get into it. Okay. So first, let me just see who's here. Oh wow! You see my hood up. My transmission just stopped working out of the blue on my way home. I don't know what's up. I'm just, if I'm being honest, I'm a bit burnt on the whole YouTube thing, and I'm trying to put on a happy face here, but what's up, Clint? How you liking the new rope, buddy? Oh, you asked me the same question. I love it. I love it. It's a really good rope. Um, I figured it would be a natural crusher or a steel carabiner. Yeah, there's a bunch of different little ways here. Or a clevis. Yeah, yeah. We'll touch on like the things that you probably want to stay away from and kind of stray away from when it comes to doing the simplified rigging, and then things to kind of watch out for, and like reasons why you would need this, even if you got all the gear. Sometimes you need these little techniques to help out, but they can come in handy big time. And for the past, look at this hair. For the past, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, I've been trying to get a haircut. And, like, I cannot get a haircut. My barber keeps shutting down every time I go, just randomly closing. But, yeah, that's just boohoo me problems. But I'm sick of the hair. Something wrong with my messages? No, I don't think. But I just now started reading, so. Love it so far. Right on, Clint. Yeah, it's a good rope. Where the hell everyone go? Okay. I don't know, Ground Pounder. Did they leave us? Maybe we're just too boring, man. My phone is trash. Alright. Let's do this. So, we've got this thing here. It's not not doesn't got a bunch of crotches all up in it or anything. Let me get back to the Alright. So I was gonna use this old piece of rigging rope that I got, but it's a little too big for such a small, like, model to work off of. Oh, was that? I didn't even notice Tree Walker. What's up, buddy? Wildwood. Awesome. Cool. Yeah. I'll have to holler at you maybe sometime when I'm up your direction. Um. So, what we'll use is some of this old kind of junk rope. I think I actually found this on the side of a road one time. So, let's say all you got is this here, and you got a beaner. All right. So what are you gonna do? Or let's just say you don't even have a beaner, but I'm gonna use this to make it a little quicker. So put it on. I'll girth it around. That way it takes up some of that loop. But all right. So now we got our rigging line. We go to set it up, and we want to do. Let's say we want to do this. Let's do this top here. Make sure everything's in the. Oh, there we go. Right there. So we want to do this one here, and we're natural crotch. I mean, you could lay it over this fork here and like put it down some, leave it loose a little bit, and then do that a couple times around, whatever, and clip it on, and you leave some slack in the system. But what that does is it ends up crazy shock loading the system when it drops down. Here, I'll go ahead and hook it on like it's really hooked up. So let's say we left it like this, and you just told your ground guy leave some slack in it. When that drops down, it's gonna shock load it like crazy. So there's another way to do these limbs, even if you're having to negative rig the limb. So like we could do, I tell you what we'll do to even make it even easier to see. Let's do this whole thing, and we'll do a negative rig, natural, with no equipment. So this is how I do it. I want to bring the camera close because I want you guys to be able to see exactly how this works. So, if we're trying to rig this, dang it, the sun again. My bad, guys. So, if we're trying to rig out this whole section here, I will get to comments too. I apologize, but it's hard for me to do this and comments. But we're gonna rig this whole section. So the way that would work is half hitch. A half hitch is the secret. So we'll want to rig off this area right here. What we would do is you take your rope. Let me think of how I want it to run afterwards. Let me make sure I remember. Yeah, okay. Don't want to put it up that way now. Let's do it this way. So right here, when the rope goes through, what you're going to do is you're going to take it, you're going to pass it around, you're going to go back up through, and you're going to hook it. Okay? So since that limb is so long, we should easily just be able to hook it here. I probably shouldn't have used the beaner. It probably would have made it even easier. But let's say we hook it there. So the way this is set up, it looks like you're just half hitched. Now, I wish I would have set it up the other way, because it would be easier for you guys to see. Let's see if I can spin it around here. Yeah, I can. I'll just do that. Let me spin this around a little. Okay, so the way this thing works now is this half hitch here is what you're actually rigging off of. So you would cut here, and as this comes over, the way this is set up here, this rope right here goes back over the top. Now this, your actual rigging rope, is being put underneath the other end that you control. So you can't do that in reverse. If you do that in reverse, the weight of your limb is going to pinch your progress off, and it won't let the piece go. So if you did this half hitch the other way, it's not going to work at all. This way, with it underneath it, as this falls over, your line here is going to keep some pressure on it. This piece is going to fall over, and it's going to start to run down. But as it runs down, you have control of it here. So if we go ahead and take it like this, that's my makeshift setup. All right, so take it back over here, that way you can see it, the whole thing. All right, set in the camera, sort of, kind of. So like I said, the way that works, half hitch where you want to rig from, connect above. Make sure you got more weight that's going to let it over. And what happens is your progress end, which you lower, the lowering end, command end, I guess is what it would be, you have over the top, and you have it, this part pinched off. So when we take this limb, it goes over this way, this drops down, and it's now running underneath this one. So as I have this over here, I'll cut it, and it'll make, if it doesn't make sense yet, it'll make sense as I cut it. So a lot of times as a climber, I won't connect the piece up until I've put my notch in. So I go ahead . It's so hard. It doesn't have to be a perfect notch, whatever. I need a new chain. Okay. So now I would connect my piece, and let me show you how that works again. You have your rigging rope. We want to rig off of this underneath our notch. So we go to it, around the piece, underneath, then we put it. So now, as I cut that, which I kind of play my line a little bit out of the way so I can actually make the cut without it being in the way. The line is going to fall right into it. You see that? Figures. This thing is so dull. I wish I would have sharpened it. I'll tell you what I'll use. That thing is not working. Let's just do it the old-fashioned way. So, you know what's dull when the handsaw, the old handsaw is sharper. Okay. Okay, so now we're cut. We want to rig this whole piece. We're half hitched. We got a big cut in our rope now, which makes everything better. So, like I said, it should basically almost hold itself, and it doesn't take very, it takes very little. You can control that as a climber and lower the top if you needed to. But what you would do is you would connect down right below it, get a hold of your line, and then go ahead and push your piece over. And as it goes over, you see how it fell into the system there? Now if you look at it, you have the piece held, and you start to lower. This bark is grabbing every piece of this, but it would lower like this, and off of that. This crotch has nasty bark. But if you did that in reverse, you had your half hitch in reverse, that wouldn't work, because then you'd be pressing down onto, let's say you want this other way. So you did a whole hitch like that. As it came over and this thing drops down into the system, then it has to be a half hitch, has to be put on there correctly, because if you change it up with like a whole hitch here, watch what happens. Put it the same way. We have it set here, and now I've looped it. Instead of going around this way and back to it, I've went the opposite direction and went around. Now watch when this piece falls over now, it drops into the system. Now the weight of it is pressed up against it, and it's pinched the line off. And so it won't move. You would have to fight that thing to get it to go down. So you just want to make sure that you set your half hitch up correctly, so that the weight of the limb is just basically laid against the rope like that. That'll close it off. The other way allows you to control it. So you can tell there's not much of a difference right there. This way right here, is that even in the camera? Yeah, okay. So I'll move it a little closer to show you. Watch. So this way, the piece will run down. Let me take the line even over to this other side so you guys can see it. See, this way, the piece will run down and move. This is the worst rope for this. But if you did this same half hitch in reverse, let's put it back up one more time. So, like I said, this is the right way for that half hitch, because you got your control end pressing it against and allowing you to put slack into the system there. Now if you do it the other way, and we wrap this way, now look, now your control end is being smashed by the weight of the piece. So if you set your half hitch up wrong, it's ruined. You've pinched your line and closed the whole system off. Now you ever get in that situation, my recommendation would be to attach something, some sort of a false crotch right below it, and then connect the piece and then recut it, because if not, you're gonna have to cut the rope. So like, to fix this kind of problem, I would say like that, and then cut it there, maybe a speed line strap to make sure it stays, clip it on there, cut it, and then rig off of this point, because now this one's jammed up, you can't do anything. So I've dealt with this many times. This is impossible to go down. So if the half hitch is wrong, none of it works. So it's just as simple as the half hitch there, incorrect. Half hitch this way, oops, my bad. Let's do it again. So half hitch that way, fine. Because when it went up, it was like this. As it fell down into the system, it dropped under this rope, not over it. So I hope that should make sense. I mean, that's about as simplified as I can make, like old school rigging. And that kind of technique can work for so much stuff. Let's say you have proper rigging and everything set up, um, like way over here, and you were having to like swing this piece from there to there, with just, and you don't want this swing here to be completely like out of control. When it drops in, it just swings way over here. You could set this same system up with just a little tag line, set it up and let it run on its own, and like you don't even have to control it. You could set it up, hook it on there with your other rigging rope, and as it came down and dropped into the system, this rope over here would control it, but this one would ease it out and lessen that swing. The same kind of concept can be made with doing multiple wraps. So like if you needed more friction, say it was a really big piece, instead of doing like a regular simple half hitch, you would do, let's do 2 wraps, then bring the piece up. So now when it drops over, it drops into the system, however heavy it is, you have a full wrap and then your normal half hitch setup. So that technique works good on, I like to use that on swinging stuff. When I have to swing something a long distance and I don't want it to get out of control, I want it to ease into the setup, I'll set that up, a couple extra wraps, and you can, like I said, you can use a little bitty tagline rope, enough to get the friction, get it part way there, and lessen the swing and the force that it's got behind it. So check comments, and then we'll go into probably my favorite simplified, like limited equipment rigging. Let's see, I'm gonna jump back a few. Hey Mike, running that 880 in the trees. Yeah, I know. It's a beast. That damn thing. I did it backwards once. Yeah, Jeff. Yeah, Jeffrey knows. Like, if you've had to deal with that, it's such a simple, like, silly mistake to make. You don't, it just doesn't make any sense that just the half hitch being put in a little different orientation, still the same half hitch, but depending on what side of the crotch it's being put on and the spot you're using, you know, it could change everything. Now, if you were on like a pole, you could take and cut you a little groove, like in the back of it, to run the rope if there's no crotches. That would be what they did back in the day. They'd cut like a little notch set up where the rope sets in it on the pole, and then run it around, run the half hitch. When it drops down into it, it stays in that little groove that you cut in the back. So you'd cut like, say you have the log here, you would cut like a groove in it like this and up, so that it's like a little beak on the back side, sort of a really skinny, shallow notch that just like holds the rope in it when it starts to pull down. You don't want to give it, like, it needs to have a lip on it so it actually holds the rope to the log. But you don't need anything except for just a rope, and you can negative rig and you can do all your positive rigging. All of it can be done very simple with just the rope. It's just it's risky, and it's not as dialed, in my opinion. That's the reason I don't use, natural crotch and stuff like that. But sometimes Maybe you don't have the equipment on you. Maybe you don't own that equipment. Maybe you can't afford that equipment. So this kind of stuff is more for those guys and to help them out. Go now.
I'm right here, mommy.
I still use old school rigging like that from time to time. I do too, ground pounder, 100%. And it works really good. Seems like you would have to determine the size of the piece based on what kind of bark you're dealing with. If you are wanting it to run, yeah, and this is the worst kind of rope. This is that like junk dollar store rope. This stuff catches everything. If I'd have used just my normal like rigging, this would have ran through the crotch. It's much stiffer, and it doesn't catch. Um, Definitely not the right rope for doing a demo. So yeah, I don't much like how that worked. That was a bit silly, but you understand the concept. And like just a single. Who said that? Let me see who said that real quick. Seems like you would have to use Jerry. Yeah, you kind of do, but you would be surprised the amount that you can handle. Guys that do pines and stuff like that, this is a great technique to know when you get up in the top and you're doing the top and you're getting ready to fall that top over, slap that half hitch, leave a little nub underneath, slap that half hitch on there and send it. And you can sit there, if you left another, like say you were rigging here and you got a little nub here, you rigging the top out, you left another little nub here, you can take your rope, put it over it. That way you can make your cut both hands, put your salt, reach over and grab your rope. So the biggest thing is you don't want too much friction if you're trying to run something, especially if you're doing that top. You don't want to shake yourself to death. Um, the amount of friction that it creates is more than you would think. So it would be something I would definitely test out. Um, it's not as like simple to dial in as like rigging rings and pulleys and stuff because there's less variables there. You know, the rubbing and the friction on all the bark and stuff like that is not there when you're using rigging rings or a pulley or something. So total different world. So yeah, it's gonna change a bit from tree to tree. So you're right. No takers on the interview. Like I said, man, I'm about burnt on YouTube. If I'm being honest, I'm trying my best to keep things going, but I don't know. I don't know. Just not liking it. If I'm being honest. If I didn't have you guys to talk to, I wouldn't do this live right now for sure. But yeah, the views aren't there. The videos just, I don't know. I feel like I put more time into the videos than they get, you know, views or attention. But it is what it is. I just need to get back to making them for my enjoyment because if I'm trying to make it for other people to grow the channel and all that stuff, like it's just setting myself up for failure because it doesn't work that way. So I just got to go back to making videos that I enjoy. That way, when they don't get views and they don't get the attention, I still made something that I like. So, but yeah, I didn't put the time in that I needed to have the interview. So that's kind of my fault. I've talked to Greg about it. So, what's up, Dakota? Yo, I keep forgetting that you go live on Tuesdays. Every Tuesday, brother, I try. I think we're on like 72 or 73 or something. I don't know, 70 something though. I know that. That was cool as heck. If I tried that, I would probably have locked up the whole dang tree. Yeah, and it's really easy to do, man. And you just gotta think about it. Play it out in your head. Play the piece coming over because it's sort of like how you connect the throw ball with the loop when you're going to disconnect the throw ball off of the loop on your throw ball string. It seems counterintuitive to do it in the way that you have to, but you're doing it in reverse. So like your brain, I always tell guys when they can't figure it out, okay, the way you think you should do it the opposite way, and it ends up working for them. So the way the half hitch works, it is basically the same exact setup but just play out in your head before you make the cut. When everything comes over, where's the weight going to be applied on that, where the half hitch is at? Like, am I going to pinch the rope, or am I going to, like, is it going under it and going to fall? Because it's actually being held by the rope, kind of, pinched off, and not allowing it to shoot up the piece as it comes over. So it's a little tricky, but just a little bit of forethought. Definitely always when you're using that technique, think about it. Just play it out in your head before you make the cut, because I've used that technique many, many, many times, and I've still made that mistake. So it's all because I just got in a little bit of a hurry. So that's where 90% of my mistakes come from. 3-strand rope works great for natural crotch rigging and minimizes bark snag. I don't know about all that. I'm not a fan of 3-strand, and the way that just seems to me, 3-strand would be more abrasive to a tree than regular rope would be. Even though regular rope makes constant friction and contact, the way the ridges are seems like how a chain would work. It's like it's hitting it repeatedly because of all the grooves in it, and it's like, to me, I'm not. I just I don't I don't like it. I mean, to each their own though. That doesn't mean it doesn't work. And heat, lots of heat on the rope. Yeah, yeah, tons of heat for sure. What's up, Bridge Burner? That makes sense. Thanks, man. No problem, Jerry. Your message is busy. I appreciate you being here, friend. JC, what's up, bro? But I enjoy it most of the time. It's all good, buddy. How about after the live, we have our own? We're still one. I get it, man. YouTube is a struggle. Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, I feel like I'm slowly to have got to that point where I'm like, whoa, my channel's growing. I feel like I can control this. I'm gonna do things to make it grow faster. There's where I made my mistake. I should have just been like, okay, the channel's growing. Keep enjoying it and keep making content that you like, because I don't care if that content doesn't get the views. I like it. So it's a bummer when you spend a bunch of time and you feel like you're editing and putting videos together more the way people ask for them, and they don't get the views. So it is what it is, man. I don't want to talk about that no more. It sounds so stupid to say. It's good to see. Thanks, Dakota. I agree, Ground Pounder. I just gotta get back to doing the stuff I like, man. Everybody, how's the new little truck doing? Educated Climber said it best. Vision. Oh, yeah. Visualize the cut in your mind first. 100%. I am. I think tree work has turned me into just to where I use that kind of thing in my everyday life. I'm like playing all the bad scenarios out in my head in everything I do anymore. Like, if I do this, how is this going to go? And I feel like that's where it's a swift reminder to respect people, because I'm like, if I disrespect this person, or I cut this person off, or I do this, there's probably a repercussion. 99.99999% of people nowadays, I promise you, aren't thinking that, because it's just, you can tell by the way they act. If you're always thinking out how things could go, it would probably keep you from doing a lot of the mean things that you do to people. So, um, and I feel like that's probably why I get so aggravated when stuff like that happens, because I'm like, I'm not doing that to people. So, I get awful mad when it's done to me. I do removals though, Mike. GP. Don't trim by. Right on, man. Alright, Jason, but I was gonna hit up Bridge Burner after the live. Oh, you're not my master. Rope, no, rope. Rope, not roped. Did you say something back here and I missed it, buddy? You got an Instagram. How's everybody? Are you talking to me, Dakota? How's everybody doing tonight? How's it going, Mark? Doing all right, Dan. How you doing, buddy? LED lights on the front and back roof. Stay cool. That little truck is awesome, man. Didn't mean to strike a nerve there. No, no, dude, you didn't. You're good. You're good. I have a love-hate relationship with that stuff. I have to buy one, and I don't even want to. Like, just don't. I don't want to, but I know that it's the proper rope to be running in my maze dam, so I just feel like I should. So it may change my mind, man. You know how that works. I'm sitting here talking all this kind of trash on those ropes. I haven't used one in 15, 20 years. So, I mean, and who knows what I was doing with it back then. I removed a tree a few times before I ever show up. Yeah, yeah, I like to. I'm the same way, man. I'm a very planned out person, and like my equipment, I like to be stored a certain way. You know, tools put up a certain way. Everything in its own compartment. I like to have more things, more tools with me than I'll ever need. I would rather have it, not need it, than need it and not have it. So I over plan and I like overstock on equipment and like I just I try to stay ahead of it because in our line of work when you start to get behind anything like it can really get up on you quick and be out of control. So oh okay Dakota, hang on just a second. I had some 16 strands of rope I used for natural rigging but forgot what it was now. That's basically I think that's what mine is. This here. And it's probably one of my favorite rigging ropes. I think it's this one. I can't remember if it's New England or if it's Samson, but good rope regardless, and I'm still using it. So you guys just seen it in the last video. It was being used for the speed line, but there's how much rope ended up being cut off of that rope. There's probably 15 foot there. It's been daisy chained, so that rope is now 15 foot shorter. So it's who knows? It's I don't even know if that thing's like 100 foot anymore. It's getting down to about probably the 100 foot mark. But it is what it is. We'll use it till we can't. Dakota, yeah, I have a Instagram. Um, if I'm being honest, my Instagram doesn't have a whole lot of tree content. It does have some, but it doesn't have a whole bunch. I actually use my Instagram to show my skateboarding stuff. I tried to put my skateboarding stuff on my YouTube channel. Everyone like stopped watching all my stuff when I started doing that. And I'm like, whoa, 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 hold up, I'll stop. So yeah, I just put it on Instagram. So it's Buf Beckett at Gmail or no, it's just Buf Beckett, Beauf Beckett, and you can look it up by Stillborn. It should come up, but it's a private account too. So I could probably have a much bigger Instagram, but I made it private because I was always getting hacked and stuff. So I don't really care. It is what it is. Does anyone else drive down the road and see a tree and then start dismantling it? 100%. Billy Mark may have also bought a mini truck which may or may not have a turbo. You said Billy Mark? I thought you were gonna say Billy Marks. I'm like, what is he gonna do? Skate? He's gonna do a kickflip roast beef over it, bridge burner. Okay. Everywhere I go, I just manually. Yep. Just got my was it Glee? I was thinking Samson, not nylon fish. My wife has been pointing trees out. Yeah, my wife does the same thing. It's funny. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. They tell you to be very diverse with your comment or content, and like make sure that you know diversify and like show some others. As soon as you do, like it's like get back in your lane, knock it off, and it's like oh hold up, I'll just because you scare your audience off. I feel like they don't want to see it, um, and I think people really like the tree people really hate me saying the hardest thing I've ever done. Skateboarding's way harder than tree work. Skateboarding's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. You could have all the knowledge and brains, and it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Thinking things out doesn't work. Like so, I think that's why I like it. Sometimes I can beat my body up and have fun doing it, and you become okay with not succeeding at everything, which is a good thing. I think people need to understand. Like you can't win at everything in life. But let me show you a couple more things. So if we were natural crotch, doing our rigging, and let's say you needed to, you wanted to, since this thing's like got this real nice rigging point out here. Let's say you were wanting to rig off of that thing, and like have that as your lowering point right here, because it's like way out. Let's say there's like a house right up underneath here. But if you can get it out here, that'll work. Now, I would not dare, and I'm sure other people may feel different, but I would not dare simply rig off of this. I wouldn't attempt it. No way. I'm not taking that risk. I've had limbs, ropes explode in the process of cutting because of the bend radius being too sharp. I've had pops break out because the rigging route wasn't correct and it put side pull. I mean, and this is one of them situations. You see the lean in the tree and it goes way out here. Now, if you was to take and clip a rope to that, look how crazy. I talk about this stuff kind of often. I don't hear a lot of other people talk about it, but when it comes to rigging, my one of my biggest pet peeves is the negative space. So like, all right, the way you can tell where the force is coming from is the in between. You split the difference from where it's gonna go down at and where the rope is at. So let's say we got the rope like right here. So our force is going to be pulling for the most part like that, right in that middle area. It's going to be pulling down on that limb pretty hard. The more I'm in here, like I see guys rig way out here. Now if I'm out here, now it's pulling this way, which is going to rip that top out. Even if you're over here, now it's this difference, so it's pulling this way. Now if you could get way back here, you're going to split the difference, and then you would be compressing down into it. Going straight up and down like this, here's where I consider negative space. This is all space that is just you should be using to develop strength in your rigging system. If you don't use this area, you're really setting yourself up for failure, because this is putting a pull down right here, directly pulling straight down, right on this little limb. I would almost guarantee you it breaks. So to keep that kind of thing from happening, I would want to compress everything into this setup. So this limb, I want to, I can decide like, how do I want to put force into this limb? Do I want to pull down on it? I can't have back because there's nothing for me to use. Um, I can have it kind of compress down a little, like I want it compressing into it completely or compressing back. That's where I get my strength. So I would go set something up sort of like this, somewhere back in here. Then, instead of being like this, where you're rigging, when you're rigging straight down, and the thing's ready to tip over, um, so instead of having that, now you introduce this to it, and when you're rigging that piece, got this piece here, let's just hook it on like this. Alright, so you got this piece here, and if we were rigging that out, now you see we're compressing that limb as much as we could. Preferably I'd like that to be a little higher, that way it's pulling into it completely, but we now have two different angles. So your difference is going to be somewhere in this region, like right in there. Um, you could also compress it more by going down the back stem of this, but the thing you have going for you, so we cut that piece, it drops over into there, it swings, okay? Because when it dropped in, we have this routed back, you didn't get a bunch of tangle. Now, this wasn't there, and I cut this, now watch. Cut that piece, it comes off, and it wraps around the rope, gets all tangled up in the rope and stuff. I can't handle that. Not only is it all tangled and everything, it's incredibly unsafe, and the potential for breaking that out is insane. Not to mention, the bend radius is trash. You have a crazy amount of smush on this thing, and you're likely to snap the rope, especially if you try to hold it up for too long. If you're letting it run, you can get away with a lot more. But if you're trying to have to hold something up, and you're rigging off something like this, not good. So now when we hook up to there, we've went and changed from this pull point to this, and we now have good bend radiuses on both points, and all we're using is carabiners. So carabiners can be used if set up properly, and the bend radius can be okay. But running off of a single carabiner by itself, the bend radius is just too sharp for my liking. I don't like it at all. That may just be me. So there's that one. I like to use speedline straps a lot when it comes to rigging. Let's say I was gonna show another one. I was trying to think of what it was. Oh, okay. All right. Let's say we want to rig off of that point. Or let's say we want to do a multiple rig. This is a cool little trick. So with these setups, let's say we rig that off. Boom, it drops into the system. Okay, now we didn't have a crazy swing way back to here, but let's say if it was going straight down, that's no good. You don't want that. Well, now what you could do is cut your rigging point off of, or no. To get it to come back, you could cut this rigging point down. Cut it here, and that rigging point will drop down, slide down into this, and the whole setup will swing in. So sometimes you can walk a limb across the tree. So you rig it from, like, you have a rigging point here, and your rope's over here through a crotch, and your rigging point's right here, but you're rigging this one. You swing it over to here, and then you cut that rigging point off, which swings it over to the other one. So with the right setup, you can have like a two, three-step rig that can move the limb section by section by setting up proper rigging points in certain spots, and you can do like, you can, so you swing to here, cut it off, swing it to there, and you come over there, swing it to there. So you could take a limb around a tree, but you have to remember each time like you cut this, you're dropping this distance. Whatever the distance is between the one point to the next, that limb is going to fall at least that far. Um, or no, actually, it's going to fall the distance of the rope, the entire span there. So it'll be double the first one, and then the second one you'll just add this distance to however much you take off the second time. But this is not something I've had to use very often. Usually I'll set up a more simplified rigging setup, but you can walk a limb around a tree if you needed to with the proper setup, especially if you have enough height. So I should talk about the Sequoia saddle. I tell you what I should talk about is the Stratus saddle, which Dakota, which is my favorite saddle by far, no comparison. It is amazing. I am loving that saddle. Every time I wear it, I like it more. So, gotta thank Gap for that. Those guys are awesome. Have a attention span of a gnat. Yeah. People just want one-dimensional content is insane. Yeah, I know. I always wanted a channel to just be a channel that people could watch different stuff. Yeah, me too. I've been skating all my life, no talent whatsoever. Dude, it's not even about that, but anytime you do something on a skateboard, if you land anything, you got my respect. And you earned it. You earned it 100% because skateboarding gives you nothing for free. I don't care how much you want it. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how athletic you are. If you don't physically put the time in and learn it and do it, you get nothing. So. That's kind of why I switched to the short skirt. There's a. I used to have one of those downhill boards with a 6-inch pneumatic wheel. Had suspension, brake. It was pretty crazy. I had my. That's awesome. But it's not one dimension content. Just see what you want. What's up, Jared? Oh, Peter's here too. Oh, dang, man, my knee. How's Peter doing? Peter made it. Hey, Jeffrey, thanks for hanging out, brother. You the man. I appreciate you. Jason Fiesel. What's up, buddy? How you doing? Alright, so what I'm going to do now, Billy, busting out the old... I should have been... I was going to give it to you, but that's as good as you get, Billy. That's all I got. My neighbors probably think I'm nuts. Who forgot the thumbs up? I know. Some people just don't. Who knows? They may have like two pinkies on each hand. They don't have thumbs. So, but texting has got to be so hard. I admire your teaching ability and time right, regardless of if I know it or not. Always enjoy the show. Oh, right on, man. I know, right? I thought the same thing, GP. Someone outside. Whoops. I agree, GP. Look forward to this, and I have. Dang. It's poison in the mind. Alright, so I'm gonna show you guys. I'm gonna show you my favorite. Okay, I have Netflix. I'm gonna try to catch up on comments because I hate being behind. Shipping from Gap took 2 weeks from Gap for my hard hat. I can't wait till I can get mine. I'm gonna get this saddle. Oh, cool, dude, you'll love it. It's so nice. It's such a nice saddle. I feel like you know, the design features, it's very similar to the way the Monkey Beaver saddle is set up. I just feel like it's a bit more rigid, and like I like that. I like a bit of stiffness to the setup. It comforts me, makes me feel like, you know, it's gonna hold me. I don't want a floppy saddle. Right on, Clint. I appreciate you, brother. That this one, that's funny. I've had this one for a very long time. I have an enormous collection of these shirts. There's so many of them inside. Not this exact shirt, but you know, I have the orange one, a couple different colors. I wish I would have got this red one they had. They had a red one time. And it was kind of a stressed red. I'm sure one of you guys probably have it. Francisco, what is up, man? No, no, you. I don't know. I don't know. I would like to know what is the price difference between a Monkey Beaver saddle and the Stratus. I've never looked, and I'm kind of curious. That's awesome, Clint. You and Ground Pounder are a good team, dude. All right, now I'm gonna show you. This was this was my go-to. This was my favorite way to rig. Nothing compared. I use this every day. I still use this from time to time, and it's not for major, huge rigging. So, oh, BR just stopped in. What's up, BR? 250 to 350 bucks. That's the difference between the two. See what I mean? 675 is what I remember him saying like 780 or something, like on one he was just selling. It was used. It was like the Beaver one or so. I don't know. I just can't. And that's just a little out of my price range. It's just not even. It's not practical for me. How you been, BR? So here's my favorite. I did, as most of you guys probably know, when uh when I started making YouTube videos, kind of got into doing this. I was uh I was working for a guy, and basically just running his whole operation, and he wasn't he just wasn't very helpful on anything, um, no matter what it was. Looks like it's used that thing eventually. All right, I'm gonna use this in some upcoming videos. I don't even know what I'm gonna use this for yet. Maybe some spider legging, or I don't know. The back plate. Okay. What's on the other side? So when I was working, a lot of the time that I was working, I was by myself. He would get too much work to do. He would get the guys behind, and then damn it, and like we were always trying to chase to catch up on everything. It seemed like, um, so it was like nonstop always. So it was, you know, I needed to go ahead and have the tree down before they ever got there, and so I found myself having to get very creative and have to do my own rigging a lot of times. And I came up with a lot of stuff that worked, you know. Some stuff that I probably wouldn't use nowadays. Oh, look at that. Huh. This doesn't make any sense. Okay. Stupid thing. Alright, give me just a second. I am having all kinds of trouble here. But nothing is where it's supposed to be. I've been thinking about using the hitch climber pulley on my saddle. Connecting it to the rope bridge and then closing it off, clipping on there, because then it'd give me 2 more connection points to use. I may. I don't use it for anything else anymore. Alright, what's stupid is that first I opened this other side and I didn't see it in there. Let's take that out. Okay, there's one. One of my favorite rigging tools ever, which is so funny, because you want to know what? There's a guy that works, okay, I told you guys, I worked for that guy, and he had a climber that worked for him before I got there, and that climber had left a figure 8. That's the only tool he had, and he used to climb on it. Me, not being very well versed in this kind of stuff, and I was just kind of getting into it, I didn't really know what this thing was. I got to farting around with it, and I started using it for rigging. So, here's another cool little toy. Anybody got this? It's Steel AG and Koji. I guess they don't have a specific name, but it does hook to your saddle. Check this thing out. So, oh yeah, pulls out. Then you have your wrench. Then you have all your other tools inside there that you need for a steel chainsaw. Adjuster, Phillips, Star, regular flathead. So, and it's got your small one and large one. So I don't even know if I've ever used it. Usually I have the actual tool. So, but yeah, a cool tool to have. I think I got it for Christmas one year or something. So, why is that my favorite? Check this out. It's very obvious, but very easy to understand why this. It's just so simple. You can't beat it. So, only thing you need is just a strap. Like, you don't have to have these specific Speedline straps, guys. They make other straps. I wish. Ow, ow, ow. Hang on. I'm gonna walk you guys. Let's walk over here. I'm gonna see if I have one. I'm sure I have one here at my trailer. So, let's walk over here. That blew out of my tree last week, I think. So, all right. Yep, there's one right there. So, check these out. I have these rags for my winch. I tie them on the line, and then if the winch cable is to break, it keeps it from spraying out and going in your face. They work pretty good. They just keep a couple rags for that if I'm pulling something really heavy with it. That reminds me, I need to go over that and fix it. Go through everything again, check the solenoid. So, these straps. There's actually two of them here. You can connect them, make them as long as you want. I think I used to pay maybe $7 a piece for these straps. These were my first Speedline straps. I'm sure they, well, hang on, this one's still got a tag. Let's see. Dang it. So in basket configuration, 4800 vertical, 2400 choker, 2000, and those are all your safe work limits. Um, so the way these are, that tag is ruined. So the way they are is you have a loop sewn in that end, and these are just mini toe straps. I got these at hardware stores. These are about the same length, except for they're a bit different. They just have a loop in that end and a loop in that end. Sometimes they're maybe even a little easier to use. So these work really good for Speedline straps. You can put it on, choke it down if you need to put some half hitches. But they're very strong. They've been double and triple sewn, and very good though. Very, very, very good straps. I put a ton of weight on these, and I'm sure I've exceeded that 2,000. I'm sure of it. So these are very good. Like I said, I think I paid, I'm sure they're more now. I'd say probably $10 a piece. And these are, what would that be? 3-footers? Maybe 2.5 to 3-footers. So these are really nice. You can get these at basically anywhere that sells toe straps. I think more than likely I got mine from, oh, did you see that fly just go in front of the camera lens? Or the eye of the camera? I think I got mine from, Rural King? Yeah, Rural King. But you can get them anywhere. I've seen them at Ace Hardware's, Menards. I'm sure they have something like that at Lowe's. So, oh my God, this thing is so heavy. It's so hard to just hold it and get a actual view on me. All right, so now that I wasted all that time, here's why this thing is so amazing. I need to rig real quick. I got an anchor. That's all I need. Set that up. And I want to rig this, or let's just say we want to rig the piece that was there before. Put some weight on this thing so it doesn't just fall over. Oh, dang it, right in the back. Okay. Oh, that hurt. So I don't need that strap. We have an anchor here. Let's say we wanted to rig this piece. Very simple, the way this would get set up. I take the rigging line, and I would hook my piece up first. It kind of sucks that the piece is already cut, because now I gotta pretend like I just wrapped that around and hooked it all up, okay? Do that, and then we'll do a half hitch, just so it stays on there. It looks like I tied it up. A little more for appearance. So you have that set up, and you want to rig this piece here. The way a figure 8 works is just so incredibly simple. You go into the big hole and over the top of the small one. So just go through there and over the top. It's set up. Then you would just take and clip. The reason I hook the piece up first is because if you notice here, you end up with a bunch of slack that you got to feed out if you wait and hook the piece up last. You got it there. Then you can like choke up a bunch of that slack. You just take a loop, run it into it, back over the top, set it up like that. Then you would hook it up, and then the way you tighten it is you kind of grab the small ring end and then pull that part tight and lift it more to the cut. So now you're set up. Sorry, these rotten ass cats in my yard. Ugh, I hate them. So yeah, it's such a nice rigging setup. It can be used for drifting stuff. You know, slap the figure eight right below the piece, hook it to the base, and if it had to drift a long ways, the figure eight, the little bit of friction that it creates right here, can go for a while. You can you could make more friction if you needed to. You can lock it off also if you wanted to lock the piece off. Say you don't want this piece to go anywhere. You want to drop it down, take it to there, and then cut that piece off. There are ways to set this up so that it completely locks. And anybody who's used a figure eight probably knows this already. But where you take that and you go over the top, you would just take it, go through the big one, like that. And then when you get here, twist over the top. So that's quite a bit of friction there, but just like with our half hitch rigging, this will create more. It goes over the top. I'll have to show you a little closer so you can see it. The way that works. How did I have that? Oh no, I just untwisted it. Okay. So, I was rigging this piece. Pretend. We got the rope. We go through there, and right here, we would cross over. Oh, hang on. Right there. Cross over. So now when the piece drops down, that's wrong though. It'll pinch it off. So you have to make sure, just like with before, you're twisting the correct way. So through and twist the other way. Now, so what happens is the piece drops, still dropping on it. So stupid. I had it set up already. Through. Maybe it's supposed to be on that side. So through, then over the top. Yeah. So then when you hook that up right there, what happens is the piece falls and drops down in there and goes into the piece there. So a little bit more friction, you can kind of control where it goes. But this setup is pretty easy. You can get it to run pretty smooth. Um, but you're limited on what you can do. These aren't meant for this. So it's just 35 kilonewtons, I guess, which is a good chunk of weight you can do. But like I said, I would keep it minimal, especially if you're a climber looking to do your own rigging. You can't beat the efficiency and speed of being able to set this up. I mean, you go from nothing to a friction device and controlled as quick as, you know, through one, over the top of the other one. Then when you clip it on, the setup is now locked. You can't take it off because the carabiner stops it. It's actually a lock. So after you get that on there, it can't come back off. So that's what's kind of nice about it. You don't have to worry about it if it was to flip over or anything. It can't come off there. So yeah, it's very nice. Like I said, I used that for years before I really got into looking at, you know, X rings and really comprehending everything that goes into rigging. And that was after a few failures. You know, some things didn't go correct. Ropes were blowing up, tops were breaking out, close calls were happening, and I'm like, yeah, this got to be a better way. And I think the most important thing, if I give a climber advice, if he's somebody who does a lot of rigging, is just to spend your time studying and understanding the rigging system, understanding how like the angles and the connection points can change everything, and learn how to take what you have and set it up in a fashion that gives you the most out of it. Like we were showing before, we can set one here that potentially break that off is very high. The potential is incredibly high. If you have all that negative space and you're just rigging off this, more likely it's probably going to bust down here and it's going to break off. Taking and running it from there to there now took a pull down from there, and the force is now being compressed into the limb, which is 10 times better than pulling down on it. Compression is what you want, um, more than pull, and, unless you can get the the limb to actually pull backwards. That would be what I would like and want more than anything. I would want this set up like this, okay? And if I was going to rig off of this one, I would like to be here because my if I had a point here and then a point here, it's now taking that limb, and when it drops weight into it, it's taking these two limbs and it's pulling them together. So this limb isn't coming down; it's going up. It's going. These two are going. Mm. So understand the rigging. Um, it's cool to be able to do it, but do you really understand it? Can you know? Can you get the most out of every situation? Because that those situations are when you see a guy, and you can see it all over his face when he does it. Right before he makes that mistake, he's set up there and he's contemplated quitting. He's contemplated many different ways of doing it, and he just can't figure out the right way. And he sits there and he thinks and he thinks and he gets frustrated to the point where he's like, "No, I'm just gonna cut it. Hope for the best." Don't do that. You know, if you need to, get down, rethink it, start over. But hoping for the best never never works out right. So at least not in this. Just if you that's what I would consider someone who like scratches lottery tickets for a living. That's how I would think they think. Hope for the best. I'm gonna buy this lottery ticket and I hope that I win. Tree work isn't like that. Even though some people do it that way, it's not supposed to be.
Stop.
There's my favorite way to store my speedline straps too. Very simple. Guys, thank you all for hanging out. It's been fun as always. Um, I just put a short out. May do a couple more shorts, and I'll give you the last part three of the recent video, and it may be a raw video. I may just give it to you guys just raw. That way, I'm gonna skip comments. I'm so sorry if anybody wrote anything important and I missed it. But see if I see any new faces. What's up, William? Um, but yeah, that's probably what's gonna happen. Um, I'll do a couple more shorts. Then I'll do the part three of that video. Um, I get a bit of a. I'm sitting here talking like Wilson off Home Improvement, except for the reverse. You can only see from there down. I get a bit of surprise because the oak that I'm doing, the big sprawled out dead one, it had the other half of it was green, um, and the other tree, there was another oak there too, and those two had actually grafted together, and there was a large dead section right there where they went together, and it had it had cut a limb off, totally like severed it from the two trees rubbing together. And before they combined, they just killed this branch off all the way to the collar. So when I went to cut that off, I got quite the surprise, and I ran into, and I don't think I even got it on video because I think the camera, the battery had went dead. But I ran into a litter of flying squirrels. I don't see a whole bunch of them. Um, I don't see them a whole lot, at least. I've ran into them a few times before. Like I was working up towards Wildwood, actually, and was doing a tree for a guy. And when I was in the top of it, it was a smaller tree. I think it was like a linden or something. But I was in the top of the tree, and I seen this little squirrel. And at first, it just looked kind of like a chipmunk. But then I kind of see it wasn't a chipmunk; it was a squirrel, but a very, very small, stubby one with a very short tail. And I'm like, whoa, this thing looks crazy. And I thought it was hurt because it let me get all the way to it. And then I reached out and was gonna grab a hold of it, and I got my hands to almost touching it, like my hands on it, before it finally said nope, and it jumped. And that thing flew like 3 yards away and just floated. It was crazy. But yeah, ran into them. They scared me half to death. And have some stuff coming up after that. That's just some gnarly stuff that I really feel like I was pushing my luck. Sometimes you just have like shit going on in life, and maybe you take risks that you wouldn't normally take because you just are fed up. Um, I was in that mind frame during these. It won't be the next video; it'll be the ones after that. But very scary situations. Probably should have never been in these trees. I tried everything in my power to try to get the lift, and it just wasn't a possibility at the time. And the bills don't wait for anybody, so it just had to be done. So I pushed it, and you'll see it. You can decide whether you think I'm exaggerating or if it was really as bad as I say. But yeah, it was kind of gnarly. So I don't even know what happened to my strap here or my carabiner for this one. I would like to know though. Carabiner. Come on. Oh, it's aggravating when I reach in my bag and I can't find a carabiner. I have so many of them to not be able to find one. It's stupid. I just don't understand where that one went. But whatever. So, I'll show you one more time how to wrap these straps. These straps all have this double part. So what I do is grab a hold of that, fold it there, take the strap, hold it so it's flat, double it over, fold it in half, make sure it's still all aligned correctly, and then start from there. And all you do is like that, fold, and then fold, and fold, and just keep folding them over until you run out of strap. And it's very simple, all this, until you get to the last part. You can kind of goof it up if you don't clip it on right, but it's not very hard. It's pretty simple to do, and it takes up It makes them much better to store. You just take and clip the two pieces together. So then, when I'm ready to use it, what I would do is I would unclip, and I would leave it on one, but not the other one. And I would drop it down, grab this one, and flip it, and it would come unraveled. So, yeah, that doesn't get stuck on stuff like a loop would. So when you hang these loops off the back of you, a lot of times they get hung up on a lot of stuff, and I hate it. So this was this definitely is not my idea. This is Trevor Ahern's. Um, Trevor did this a long time ago, and I stole that idea from him. So give credit where it came from. It's his idea, definitely not mine. But a really smart idea, a really cool idea. I like it, and I use it a lot. So thank you, Trevor. Guys, once again, thank you all for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me. Even though I'm probably not the funnest guy to hang out with, I try. I'm gonna do a little better. Trying to set up an interview for next week. Okay. So if somebody watches this and you know what the heck? There's that carabiner for that strap I was looking for. Son of a gun. The reason I use these carabiners, they have screw locks. So if I'm using them for a redirect up in a tree, there's no chance in when I get away from it, getting in a bind and coming open because I use screw locking carabiners. So whether it's a rigging redirect or a climbing redirect, I prefer screw locking. That way there's no possibility of it coming undone or, breaking the gate, side loading it or anything. So, yeah. TOFTS. What's up, buddy? Yeah, guys. Thanks again. If you're interested in joining me on one of these live feeds, let me know you're down. That you'd be willing um, to do it, and I'll pick somebody, or maybe I'll try to send out some emails, see if we can get somebody else to bother and talk to for a little while next week. But I'll try to keep the content rolling. If you guys keep watching it, I'll keep making it. So stay safe. Thank you for hanging out, and have a good week. See you next time.